You wanted to become more disciplined. You wrote down your goals. You made a clear plan. You told yourself this time would be different. Then the moment arrived. The moment when you had to take action. And you didn't move. Not because you didn't care. Not because you lacked a clear picture of what you wanted. But because when the feeling faded, there was nothing holding you in place. You had vision but no structure. When motivation was strong, everything made sense. When motivation left, everything fell apart. This is where most people fail, not at dreaming, but at acting when the dream feels far away. The samurai lived differently. They did not depend on desire. They did not wait to feel ready. They followed form. They built systems that stayed solid even when emotions changed. They used routines that carried them through doubt, tiredness, and resistance. Their training did not bend just because they felt weak. You have been setting goals, and those goals have been letting you down. Not because goals are pointless, but because goals depend on things you cannot control. Things like motivation, inspiration, momentum. These feelings come and go. They rise and fall without warning. A system does not care how you feel. It moves even when you don't want to. It keeps working even when you stop thinking about it. It builds you quietly without asking for permission. Real change does not come from short bursts of effort. It comes from returning again and again. This is the samurai habit. It does not ask you to believe. It only asks you to repeat. Discipline is not about wanting something badly. It is about having a structure that stays when wanting disappears. This is not about hype. This is not about excitement. This is about form. You were taught to chase motivation. The samurai were taught to follow structure. One path depends on feeling ready. The other path moves whether you are ready or not. If you are here to train, stay. If you are here to feel inspired and leave, walk away now. Because what comes next will not promise comfort. It will promise structure. And structure changes everything. You were taught to set goals. Big goals. Exciting goals. Goals that make you feel something when you think about them. You were told to imagine the outcome. To picture the future version of yourself. Stronger. Focused. Successful. Respected. And for a moment it worked. You felt inspired. You felt driven. You felt ready. But that feeling did not last. Goals depend on emotional energy. They rely on motivation to get started. They rely on inspiration to keep going. They rely on momentum to survive. These states are not stable. They rise and fall. They disappear without warning. When motivation is high, goals feel possible. When motivation drops, goals feel heavy. And when inspiration fades, the goal becomes a reminder of what you have not done. This is not your fault. This is how goals are designed. A goal lives in the future. You live in the present. Every day you do not reach the goal, the distance becomes louder. The future version of you starts to feel far away. Goals are meant to inspire. But inspiration is not structure. It is fuel. And fuel burns out. When the fuel is gone, the engine stops. You are left trying to force yourself forward. You start needing proof that the effort is working. You start watching for results. When results take time, doubt grows. When doubt grows, action slows. And eventually you stop. This is not weakness. This is dependency. You have been depending on feelings you cannot control. You have been waiting for the right mood, the right moment, the right level of energy. A system does not work this way. A system does not care if you feel inspired. It does not wait for motivation. It does not ask how your day has been. A system runs. It moves forward whether you are excited or tired. It continues whether you believe in it or not. It does not need you to feel ready. This is the difference. Goals ask you to become something. Systems ask you to do something. One lives in your imagination. The other lives in your schedule. You do not need stronger motivation. You need something that works when motivation disappears. Real transformation does not come from intense moments. It comes from returning again and again. Not more excitement. Not more desire. Repetition. You were told to dream bigger, to aim higher, to set goals that excite you enough to change your life. So you did. You pictured the result. You saw yourself different, healthier, sharper, more confident. In your mind, the future felt clear. But the picture did not build you. It only made the present feel smaller. Goals are endpoints. They sit far ahead of you. They exist in a future you cannot touch yet. Each day you wake up and look at where you are. Each day you see how far away the goal still is. And every day you do not reach it, the gap speaks. It reminds you of what you are not. It reminds you of what you have not become. This creates pressure. Not the kind that sharpens you, but the kind that drains you. You start measuring yourself against a finish line you cannot reach today. You start feeling behind before you even begin. And slowly, the goal stops pulling you forward. It starts pushing down on you. The samurai did not train this way. They did not train toward a feeling. They did not train for a future version of themselves. They trained inside a form. The form did not promise success. It did not guarantee victory. It promised repetition. And repetition built the warrior. When you set a goal, you create the need for proof. You want to see progress. You want signs that the effort is paying off. When the signs do not show up fast enough, doubt enters. When doubt enters, action slows. And when action slows, the goal collapses. This does not mean you failed. It means the system was missing. Goals are designed to inspire. They are not designed to hold you when inspiration fades. The collapse of the goal is not weakness. It is clarity. You were not lazy. You were not broken. You were unsupported. The samurai understood something simple. They did not chase outcomes. They returned to the form, the stance, the movement, the repetition, day after day. You do not need a bigger vision. You need something smaller and closer. Not an endpoint far away, but a loop you can enter today. Again and again. When you set a goal, you create dependence. You begin to rely on signs that tell you it is working. You want to feel progress. You want to see results. You want proof that the effort matters. This need is natural, but it is also dangerous. When proof comes quickly, you keep going. When proof is delayed, you hesitate. When nothing seems to change, you stop. This is not because you are weak. It is because the goal trained you to look outward instead of returning inward. A goal says, become this. It points to a version of you that does not exist yet. It lives in your imagination. A system says, do this. It lives in your day. It shows up on your calendar. One asks you to believe. The other asks you to show up. When you chase a goal, you depend on emotion. You depend on hope. You depend on momentum. When the emotion drops, the chase slows. And when the chase slows, the goal feels heavier than before. A system works differently. A system is a small loop. Something you can enter today. Something you can complete without needing to feel inspired. It does not care how excited you are. It does not care how confident you feel. It only asks for action. You do not need a massive dream to begin. You need a repeatable action that fits into your life. The goal lives far away. The system lives right here. This is not about lowering your standards. It is about removing dependency. You do not stop being ambitious. You stop depending on feelings to move forward. Ambition without structure fades. Structure without emotion survives. The samurai did not wake up thinking about who they would become someday. They woke up and entered the form. The same movement, the same stance, the same return. Over time, the form changed them. You do not need to imagine the result every day. You need something you can do every day. When the system is clear, action becomes simple. When action is simple, consistency becomes possible. This is where discipline begins. Not in dreaming bigger, but in looping smaller. Not in chasing the outcome, but in installing the behavior. Ambition points forward. Discipline holds you in place. And it is discipline, not desire, that builds the future. The samurai did not train when they felt like it. They trained because the form required it. This is the line that separates those who wait from those who move. You have been taught that discipline is about willpower. That action comes from wanting something badly enough. That strong people simply push harder. This is not true. The samurai did not want it more. They designed it better. A habit is not built on desire. It is built on structure. When the structure is clear, there is no debate. When there is no debate, there is no delay. The samurai habit is simple. Form comes before feeling. You do not ask how you feel. You ask what the form demands. Then you enter it. This is not robotic. It is freeing. The struggle is not in the action. The struggle is in the decision. When you decide once and install the form, you do not fight the same battle again. You return. And over time, the return shapes you. This is how behavior becomes identity. Not by declaring who you are, but by repeating what you do. You do not become disciplined by feeling disciplined. You become disciplined by doing the disciplined action again and again. The samurai trained every morning, not because every morning felt right, but because morning was the form. The form did not negotiate. It did not wait. It did not adjust to mood. Wake, train, continue. This is the habit. It is not built through bursts of effort. It is built through inevitability. You do not need to feel ready. You need to remove the moment of choice. The moment you pause to ask yourself if you should act, resistance enters. The pause is where momentum dies. The samurai did not pause. They moved. Movement carried them past doubt, past hesitation, past the part of the mind that argues. This is form over feeling, system over state, return over result. You act first. The feeling follows. Inspiration does not lead action. Action creates inspiration. And when action is repeated inside a form, it stops feeling like effort. It starts feeling like who you are. Next, you will see why the strongest systems are often invisible. Most systems are invisible while they are working. You do not notice them because they feel normal. You wake up at the same time. You move through the same morning. You follow familiar patterns without thinking. This is a system, and it is already shaping you. The real question is not whether you have systems. You do. The question is whether those systems are building you up or wearing you down. Many of your systems were not chosen. They were inherited from your environment, from convenience, from the path that required the least effort. You scroll because your phone is close. You skip training because nothing demands it. You eat poorly because the easier option is faster. These are not random behaviors. They are systems, and they are training you every day. The samurai did not leave structure to chance. They designed it on purpose, and they protected it through ritual. A system is a chain of actions that runs without thought. It begins with a trigger. It moves forward. It ends without debate. You do not decide each step. You step into the sequence, and the sequence carries you. This is why systems are stronger than goals. A goal asks you to want something every day. A system only asks you to start. Once it starts, it moves on its own. The samurai was not stronger than you. He was better structured. His morning was not a list of choices. It was one sequence. Wake, cold water, movement, stillness, training. There was no decision to make, so there was no energy wasted on deciding. This is the hidden advantage. When your day is built on choices, you fight yourself all day. When your day is built on systems, you follow. You have been fighting before every action, asking if you should, asking if you are ready. The fight is not in the work. It is in the gap before the work. A system closes that gap. You do not ask if you will act. You act because the sequence begins. When a system works, you do not notice it. You only notice it when it breaks. That is why it must be protected. Not with intensity, but with consistency. The samurai guarded the form, because the form guarded him. Next, you will see how to replace chasing with building. The true power of a system is often hidden. You only see it when it stops working. The samurai did not waste energy deciding each morning. His day was one smooth sequence. Wake, cold water on the face, movement, meditation, weapon drill. Each step was automatic. No thought, no debate, no hesitation. Because the sequence was set, he did not spend energy on deciding. Every ounce of attention went into the action itself. This is the invisible advantage. When your routines are filled with choices, you drain yourself before the work begins. Every decision takes mental energy. Every pause creates friction. A system removes all of that. It starts automatically. It moves forward without waiting for your willpower or your mood. Motivation is unpredictable. Some days it comes. Some days it does not. A goal depends on this fleeting force. A system does not. It only requires initiation. Once you start, the system takes over. It moves on its own. It carries you past doubt, fatigue, and hesitation. The samurai was not stronger than you. He was better structured. He did not rely on wanting. He relied on form, on sequence, on ritual. And because the form was protected, it never failed him. He did not guard goals. He guarded the system that built the goals. When your structure is strong, the outcome becomes inevitable. You do not chase the result. You build the condition for the result to appear. This is the efficiency of systems. Less mental struggle, less friction, more consistent action. The advantage is invisible because it happens inside the sequence. Energy is not wasted. Momentum is constant. Results compound quietly over time. And this is why the system is more powerful than sheer desire. You do not act because you feel ready. You act because the sequence demands it. You do not fight resistance. You follow the path already built. Next, we move from guarding what exists to constructing what you want. From protecting the form to becoming the architect of your day. You have been chasing results, chasing feelings, chasing the person you imagined you could be. The samurai did not chase. He built. This is the architect principle. You do not run toward the outcome. You create the conditions that make the outcome unavoidable. A goal is like a destination. It only tells you where to end up. It does not explain how to get there. A system is like a blueprint. It shows the steps, the sequence, the process. You do not need to feel disciplined to be disciplined. You need to know what disciplined people do. And then you build a structure that forces you to do it. This is architecture. You are not hoping for change. You are engineering it. The samurai did not hope to be skilled. He installed the training. And the training installed the skill. You do not become what you want. You become what you repeat. This is mechanical, not motivational. You want to write. You do not wait for inspiration. You need a time, a place, a trigger, a sequence. Every day, same time, same place, same starting action. The sequence becomes automatic. The automation becomes identity. You are not a writer because you feel like one. You are a writer because you write every day without argument. The samurai built his day around the form. The form was absolute. It did not negotiate. It did not require willpower. It only required obedience. Obedience to the structure you designed. You are not obeying someone else. You are obeying yourself. You trust your design. You follow it without questioning in the moment. The moment is for action, not decision. You decide once. You build the system. And then you follow it. This is the architect principle. Build, do not chase. The results will come. Not because you chased them, but because you built the conditions that made them inevitable. Next, you will see that resistance is not your enemy. The real enemy is how you negotiate with it. Most people are told that discipline is about fighting resistance. Push through. Beat yourself into action. This is only part of the truth. Resistance is constant. It will always be there. It is not the enemy. The enemy is negotiation. The samurai did not ask himself if the training was hard. He did not debate whether to start. He entered it. Resistance does not stop action. The conversation you have with it does. You wake. You feel the pull to stay in comfort. And then you ask, should I? The moment you ask, you have opened the door. Resistance walks through. This is the trap. The samurai did not hesitate. He moved. Hesitation is not fear. It is negotiation. You are negotiating with the part of you that wants ease, comfort, and delay. And comfort always wins this conversation. It makes sense. It sounds logical. It gives reasons. Tomorrow is fine. You're tired. You'll do it later. All of this is true. And none of it matters. The system does not care if you are tired. It runs. You do not fight resistance. You remove the discussion altogether. You act before the debate begins. This is speed. Not physical speed, but mental speed. The shorter the gap between the trigger and the action, the less time resistance has to speak. You wake. You move. No pause. You sit to work. You begin. No pause. The pause is where you lose. The samurai understood this. The draw of the sword was instant. Delay allowed doubt. Doubt allowed defeat. You do not allow delay. You act. This is not aggression. It is efficiency. You are not battling yourself. You are designing yourself out of the fight. Resistance is not the enemy. Negotiation is. Stop negotiating. Start moving. Next, we will see how ritual allows you to enter action without thought. It bridges the gap between hesitation and disciplined action. The samurai didn't start training by asking himself if he should. He didn't wait to feel motivated or ready. He began with ritual. Ritual is the bridge between a scattered mind and disciplined action. It doesn't require belief. It only requires execution. Once you follow the ritual, it carries you into the state you couldn't force. You can't think your way into discipline, but you can act your way into it. The body leads. The mind follows. You wake. Cold water on your face for 30 seconds. Movement for 5 minutes. Stillness for 3 minutes. The sequence is short, but it is non-negotiable. Because it happens every day, it becomes the doorway into the day, into work, into yourself. The ritual doesn't ask how awake or disciplined you feel. It comes before feeling. You follow it, and the ritual wakes you. This is entry without thought. The samurai bowed before entering the dojo. Not because the bow held magic, but because it was the trigger. It said, I am no longer the person outside. I am now the person inside. The ritual switches your identity. You are no longer negotiating with yourself. You are stepping into the version of you that the system demands. Without the ritual, you pause, question, and debate. With it, you enter action immediately. The power isn't in the ritual itself. It is in its consistency. The same sequence every time. Repeat it until the ritual alone signals action. Your body learns. Your mind learns. And eventually, the ritual alone creates the state you want. You don't wait to feel ready. You begin. And the ritual makes you ready. This simple, repeatable, non-negotiable process removes hesitation. It transforms decision into action. Through ritual, resistance doesn't stand a chance. You act before it can speak. This is the mechanism that the samurai used. The sequence, repeated every day, leads to mastery. And mastery is invisible at first. It shows itself over months and years, not hours or days. Next, we'll explore the compound effect. How small, repeated actions, carried out without negotiation, create transformation that becomes undeniable over time. You won't notice the change today. You won't notice it tomorrow. You follow the system. You repeat the actions. And everything feels the same. This is the test. The samurai didn't train for instant results. He trained because the form demanded it. And over time, the repetition changed him. Not suddenly, not visibly, but completely. This is the compound effect. It is invisible at first. It works silently, building strength, skill, and character without announcing itself. You don't see the muscle grow day by day. You don't notice the skill sharpen in real time. You only see the change when life tests you. When the challenge comes, that's when the invisible work reveals itself. You don't train for immediate recognition. You train for the return. Show up once, nothing happens. Show up 100 times, everything shifts. This is not motivation. It's structure. Small actions repeated, compounded over time, become transformation. But only if you keep returning. Most people quit early. Not because they are weak, but because they don't see results fast enough. 2 weeks in, they feel the same. They assume the system isn't working. But it is. It just hasn't revealed itself yet. The samurai trained the same form for a lifetime. Not because every day felt different, but because every return, every repetition, quietly shaped him. You're not looking for a daily shift. You're building inevitable transformation. The change happens slowly. It happens invisibly. And one day, it becomes undeniable. You don't wake up thinking, I am becoming disciplined. You wake up knowing, I am disciplined. There is no single date for this shift. It isn't an event. It's thousands of small returns stacked over months and years. This is the power of the compound. It doesn't need your faith. It only asks for your consistency. You don't need to believe you're making progress. You only need to return. The system proves itself over time. Time doesn't care how you feel. It only measures what you repeat. Next, we move to the vow, the promise that binds you to the system, where discipline stops being something you chase and becomes something you are. The samurai made a vow, not to anyone else, not to be praised or admired. The vow was to the form itself. It was simple. I will return. Not when it's easy, not when it feels right, not when the moment is convenient. I will return. This is the vow you must make, not to motivation, not to desire, to the system. The system doesn't serve you. You serve the system. And in serving it, the system builds you. This is the inversion. Discipline is not something you use to get what you want. Discipline is what shapes you. The samurai didn't train to feel strong or powerful. He trained because the vow demanded it. Over time, the act of returning removed the parts of him that were weak, not by fighting, but by refusing to feed weakness. Every time you follow the system, you starve the part of you that wants to quit. Every time you return, you starve the part that waits for permission. Every time you act without thinking, you starve the part that negotiates. This is the vow. System over self. You don't ask yourself what you want in the moment. You ask what the system requires. And you do it. This is not sacrifice. It is clarity. You aren't giving up what you want. You're giving up what you used to want. Comfort, delay, negotiation. You are choosing the version of yourself that the system builds. And that version doesn't need motivation, because that version is the system. The samurai didn't become disciplined. He became the discipline. There was no separation, no conflict, no divided self. There was only the form, and him inside it. The vow isn't made once. It's made every day, every time you return, every time you act, every time you refuse to negotiate. And over time, the vow becomes you. You are no longer following the system. You are the system. This is transformation. Not from weak to strong. Not from incomplete to complete. From divided to whole. You are no longer at war with yourself, because there is no self-resisting. Only the form. And you are fully inside it. This is the samurai habit. It will transform your life. Not because it's powerful, but because it is permanent. You don't need to believe. You only need to install it. Once installed, it doesn't ask for your opinion. It simply runs. Next, you will receive direct instruction. Step-by-step action you can take immediately to begin your system. Now it's time to act. Not tomorrow. Not later. Right now. Choose one behavior. Just one. One thing you will do every day without question. It should be small. So small that you cannot use excuses. 5 push-ups when you wake. 1 page of writing before breakfast. 2 minutes of stillness before touching your phone. Cold water on your face before speaking to anyone. Write it down. Not in your head. Make it real. On paper. Or in the comments below this video. Next, set the trigger. The exact moment it will happen. Not in the morning. Not when I have time. The exact trigger. When your feet touch the floor. When the coffee brews. When you close your laptop. When you finish your last meal. The trigger removes the question. No thinking. No deciding. You act automatically. Then protect it. For 7 days. Not because 7 is magical. Because 7 is enough to test seriousness. Do not add more. Do not make it harder. Do not expand it. Return to it. 7 times. Without negotiation. Most people will not do this. They will watch, agree, feel inspired, and do nothing. This is not judgment. It's pattern. It's the difference between thinking and acting. But some of you will act. And those few will learn what the rest cannot. The system does not wait for readiness. It does not ask for belief. It only asks that you begin. Start with one small action, 1 repetition, and 1 is enough. The system begins with 1, and 1 builds the habit. 1 repetition creates the foundation. You do not need motivation. You do not need proof. You only need to return. Consistently. This is installation. Not belief. Not hope. Not inspiration. The act of doing is what builds the system. And the system is what builds you. Do it now. Right now. Before the day ends. Before the next distraction. Take the small step that begins the chain. 1 behavior. 1 trigger. 7 days of return. No negotiation. Begin. Now it is time to start. Not later. Not tomorrow. Right now. Take the system you chose. Write it down. Make it visible. Put it somewhere you will see it. Paper, screen, notebook, anywhere. See it. This makes it real. Not just an idea in your head. A visible reminder. Next, set the trigger. The exact moment you will do it. Not vague. Not when I feel ready. The exact cue that starts the habit. When your feet hit the floor. When the coffee brews. When the laptop closes. When your last bite of food is swallowed. Then act. 1 repetition. Right now. Before the video ends. Before you check your phone. This is not about agreeing. Not about feeling motivated. It is about doing. Action over thought. Execution over belief. Do it once. And notice how it feels. The system begins. Even 1 repetition starts the chain. You do not need proof. You do not need readiness. You do not need perfect conditions. All you need is to start. 1 small behavior. 1 trigger. 1 repetition. Most people will watch this, feel inspired, agree silently, and do nothing. But you will not. You will act. And that 1 act separates you from those who only talk, from those who wait. The system only cares that you begin, not how you feel, not how motivated you are. It only asks that you start. Do it now. 1 repetition, the smallest action possible. See it, write it, trigger it, do it. No negotiation, no delay, no excuses. This is the beginning. The moment the system comes to life. The moment the habit begins to form. 1 repetition today builds the chain, builds the structure, builds the person you are becoming. Do not wait. Do not question. Do not hesitate. Begin now, right now, before this ends, before another distraction. 1 repetition, 1 action. The system starts. You start. No comfort, no discussion, only movement, only action. Begin.